Okay, we are now recording, and I'll introduce myself. For those of you I haven't met, I am Tracy DeMario, and I'm the Superstar Director for the Scented Bliss family. I'm so excited that you guys are joining us for the call to hopefully learn a lot about sponsoring, because as you're going to find out through our conversation tonight and sharing, that is truly how, if you join Scentsy and you had a big why that you joined Scentsy, that is going to be the difference between just making this a hobby and separating yourself from a business. Now, I asked some of you that got on early when you joined just to kind of give me a feel, and the majority of the consultants that are currently on the call have joined in the last 2 years. So there are some veterans on the call, which is always great. Again, especially when we get to the Q&A, I will rely on you guys to jump in. But also, it just goes to show those veterans that have gotten on the call, and which I know Rhonda's been with us for 10 years, and she's here with us, that they're constantly learning and training. And that's one of the key things that I like to point out. When I see the Peggies, the Jackies, the Rhondas on the call, I'm the same way. Even if I've watched a bunch of trainings on sponsoring, if I've read a lot of books on sponsoring, there's usually a little nugget that I can pick up and I can still learn, and I can still get information or sometimes reminders of what I used to do and maybe need to be doing again. So I'm glad to have you guys with us, and I appreciate you taking time out. For those of you that have joined us in the last couple of years, you may or may not have the opportunity to kind of hear how and why I joined. And I like to share this story because if you're motivated by money, like I am, I didn't realize I was, but then I quickly discovered I was, then I really think, like me, this might help you. My dear friend Diane Dreyer, some of you have been blessed to meet her, but we have been friends for many years. And Diane is truly a story of rags to riches. When I met Diane 20 plus years ago, she happened to have a child with autism, and I have 3. I was very involved in the disability community and a parent mentor for the state of Missouri and Kansas. And she was referred to me because she was having some issues with her son with autism. She lived in a small rural community that didn't know how to spell autism, let alone how to educate someone with autism. So we became really good friends. And during that time, she lived in a situation where her kitchen sink had no running water. She had running water in the house, but not her kitchen sink. Many of her rooms did not even have drywall. She had a van, a big old conversion van, which turned out to be like our favorite garage sale traveling mobile, that was wonderful when it decided to run. But she didn't know day to day between the one vehicle that they owned if it was going to start or not. And that was the Diane I knew then. Well, several years goes by, and of course she's working hard, and then she discovers this product called Scentsy. Diane had joined many other direct sales companies. I had bought from everything she'd ever sold, whether I needed it or not, just because that was what I did. But this Scentsy thing was really something I liked when I bought it. Like, I used it because it was safe, and I wasn't afraid for my kids to get hurt with it. So this was great. I was using the product, and Diane had been trying for a couple of years to get me to join Scentsy. I had never sold anything in my life. I loved being a stay-at-home mom. That was my goal in life, was to be a stay-at-home mom. And it wasn't until I was at her house one day, I needed some help with something on the computer, which won't surprise many of you that know me well, because that is not my strength. And I was at her house, and she was trying to show me how to do this. During that time, her husband, Doug, who's as awesome as she is, came in, and he had a stack of mail, and he let her know. He said, hey, your Scentsy check's in here, because back in the day, we got paid with a check that came in the mail. And she's like, okay. And he's like, well, are you going to open it? And she was like, no. And he was like, come on, you've been trying so hard to reach this goal. See if you met your goal. Because unlike the workstation we have now, back in the day, we didn't have that. So we couldn't see the breakdown of our commissions and such the way you can now. So I'm like, come on, Diane, really, open your check. And she's like, no, it's okay, I'm going to wait. And he's like, come on, Diane, open your check. And I'm like, seriously, what's the big deal? Open your check. And that's when she told me, she said, Tracy, in my life, I've had a goal to reach $10,000 in 1 month. And I know I'm close to meeting that. And of course, my eyeballs just shot open, because $10,000 in a month seemed way crazy, let alone Diane, who sold everything humanly possible. So she opened up the check, and sure enough, I saw with my own eyes that she had sold over $12,000. That was her commission, was over $12,000. So I'm saying, in 1 month? Wait a minute, this is in a month? This is selling these Scentsy candles? And she's like, yes, Tracy, I told you that, yes. And I'm like, okay. She wasn't doing home parties. She had a lot of health issues, a lot of issues with her knees and such. It wasn't easy for her to get around. She really didn't go out much. How in the world was she selling this kind of, making this kind of money? Well, the reality is that she used what she could, and that was her knowledge. She self-taught herself on the computer, and she had met people that were looking for business opportunities on work-at-home mom sites and such, and so she started growing this team. And of course, her sister had joined, and by then her daughter had joined, and she just had this little team that was out there working along with her, and she was making $12,000 in a month. So this got my attention. This is where I say, if money talks, if money helps you guys motivate you, we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. And I said to her, so I can make a couple $100 just mommy money doing little of nothing? And she's like, Tracy, I've been trying to tell you for 2 years that you could totally make mommy money or real money if you would just start this Scentsy thing. So I left there and I called my husband, who was an executive chef and worked 80+ hours a week. We rarely saw him. He was gone when the kids were still asleep, and he got home when the kids were in bed. Not my idea of family time together, but it paid the bills. And I called him and I said, so I told him the story about Diane's check, and I said, you know, I think I want to do this. He's like, oh my, what's this kit cost? And I said, it's $99. And he said, what do you get? So I told him what I got. And he's like, well, if you don't ever do anything with it, at least we'll use it. And I thought, that's a great vote of confidence, but all right, let's do this. So I bought my kit, and on I went. As my kit arrived, I got really excited, and I decided to have my launch party, which hopefully all of you have had one. If you haven't, I'm going to add that to your to-do list. You need to have a launch party, no matter how long you've been in business. It's never too late. And I had my launch party. That was Diane's actually first home party she'd ever done. So needless to say, she wasn't exactly the rock star host, but that was okay, or trainer, but that was all right because it worked out great. So I got the bug. I thought, this is great, this is fun. Everybody had a good time. People loved it. And a reunion was going to be approaching shortly. And she was like, you really should go. And I'm like, I don't know. She said, you really need to go. And I was like, okay, I'm following her lead. Because I learned pretty quickly, if I wanted to be successful, I needed to see who was successful in this business, and I was going to follow their lead. Diane being my number one. So my husband and I went to reunion. He made it very clear that he had no intention of attending anything. He was going to fly fish. This year it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm like, deal. So I went to training by day, but by night it's fun. People are going out to dinner, they're connecting, they're sitting in the hotel lobbies. And so Joe would return from his fly fishing and he would get invited to dinner. And it was during those conversations that Joe also realized, oh my goodness, this is a real thing. This could really be something. That's when he met people, and I know these names won't mean a lot to you now, but they will at some point, especially if you do attend corporate events like Scentsy Family Reunion. But that's when he met people like Sarah and Sean Speechley, who are Diane's sponsors and superstar directors. And we sat next to Nicole Furland and her husband, and he had conversations with them. And Becky and Kevin Priest, who's consultant number 6. Her ID number is actually 6 in the company. And he had conversations, and he realized these consultants, these husbands, were like normal guys, just like him. I mean, they were just your everyday manly guys who had quit very successful businesses to support their wives in Scentsy, taking their kids to ballet class, dropping off basket parties, going to the post office, whatever was needed to support their wives. And that's when Joe finally came on board, and the two of us together decided we were going to tackle the Scentsy thing. So I joined Scentsy in November of 2008. I promoted to director in April of 2009. So when I say I hit the pavement, I hit the pavement. The light bulbs went off, and I said, I'm going to do this thing. I hit star director in October of 2009, and I promoted to superstar director in September of 2010. and not without the support of my husband. Like I said, had he been working all of those hours, that would not have been possible. It was about 18 months into our journey that he was able to retire from his life as an executive chef in the profession of being in that industry for a very, very long time. And our Scentsy income became our primary income, and it is to this day. Now, I'm not one to like to boast or to talk about numbers, so this is totally out of character for me. I understand where Diane was in that moment. So, but I do think if you're like me, the only reason I joined is because Diane showed me her check. And I'm not going to show you my check, but I do want to show you the importance of sponsoring and why, when we're going to have this conversation here a little bit later, I hope that you guys are realizing that this is real. I'm a normal person, just like the rest of you, that was a stay-at-home mom that had never sold a thing. Or you might be just like Diane was, who does not have a sink with running water, who have sold everything there was ever imaginably possible and had never found success yet. So I just pulled like my last 3 months numbers just because I want you guys to grasp and see. I am not by any means, I'm just a very average superstar director when it comes to size. I am not considered big, large at all, and I'm not really small. I'm kind of in the middle as far as size goes and such. But my last 3 months, so for example, in October, my team wholesale volume. So this is my team, anybody who I'm their director for. My team wholesale volume, the money that I made $3,030 from my team, okay? So not my personal PRV or my sales. This was just from my team. Then, because I have directors that are under me that have their own teams, we get what's called, and you look at the compensation plan, you'll see this, a director generation bonus. So my director generation bonus from October was $7,468. So you could see if you add that $7,468 to the $3,030, without my PRV, commission on my PRV and my commission bonus override, that's a pretty good check. So that just kind of gives you an idea why you want to build a team and why you want to build leaders. In November, my team commission off of my team was $2,924, and my director generation bonus was $6,038. So again, just to give you guys an idea. Now, December is actually one of our lower months. This won't surprise you because usually after about the 15th of the month, everybody decides they don't need to work anymore. But my team, commission from my team volume was $1,619, and my director generation bonus was $3,680. So I just want to give you guys like an idea of I'm not that great of a salesperson. I could not sell enough Scentsy to make those kind of numbers if it was just up to selling Scentsy. Some of you, I'm sure, are far better at selling Scentsy than I am, but it would take a lot of parties, a lot of fundraisers, a lot of sales to make that kind of income. And that's why I want you guys to grasp the bigger concept of growing a team and why sponsoring is really something that is going to help you guys build that business that you're wanting. Now, I'm going to attempt to share this other document because it's got a lot of numbers on it. So let me see if I can figure this out here. Let's see. Hopefully, because somebody might have to let me know if you do. This was shared recently. We had a leader call in October, and some superstar directors, we came together and we shared, we got some numbers. And so I wanted to share this with you. Hang on just a second. Let me pull it up. Again, just to kind of give you guys the spectrum, and then we'll quit talking numbers. Okay, can someone, Peggy, can you shake your head if you can see this? You don't see it? Okay. Says I'm sharing my screen.
All I see is something that says, we look good on mobile too. That's all I see.
Okay, hang on. Let me find it then. Where'd it go? Okay, new share. How about this? Now?
Yes.
Okay, yay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is a lot. I'm not going to read it, I promise. But this just kind of shows some statistics from October of 2018. And there's some superstar consultants. That's what, like, number one is a superstar consultant. Her personal PRV was 2,284. Her team was 26. Her group was 26. I'm not sure about that one. Well, oh, because she didn't have a director out. She hadn't promoted a director. She had 12 active frontline, and her commission for October was 1,593. Now look at superstar consultant number two. She is quite the seller with 6,868 PRV. I will tell you, I would guess that was probably a fundraiser or more than one. There are some consultants that have built their entire business or majority of it and have earned almost every trip with the help of fundraisers. So if you are not doing fundraisers, I highly suggest it, because it's going to help you get customers and certainly going to help you with that PRV number there. She had a team of 14 and she had an active frontline of 7, and she was paid $3,335. Now let's just kind of look at some directors here. You can look at director number 1 with a PRV of 4866, a team of 54. That group of 91 means she also had a director under her. Okay, that's what that means, just to kind of show you. Active frontline was 22, so people she personally sponsored or had rolled up to her, she had 22 that were active, that had done 200 PRV for that month. And her commission was 4,492. Now, I'll leave this up here for a while, but let's scoot down here to the star directors, and you can kind of look at their numbers. And they were paid anywhere from, it shows 1983 to where you got star director number 5. She was paid over $8,000, and star director number 6 over $13,000. I don't know about you, but I'd say that's pretty good. That's pretty good payday. Now this is October. This is one of our higher, obviously, months of the year, October and November. And then you've got superstar directors. And like I said, I'm like one of these little low end of the totem pole people here. But I am not going to stop, I can assure you, until my numbers are closer to number 5, where they were paid $52,116 during the month of October. I will keep going until I see those numbers, because I have big goals. I don't want my children with disabilities to be dependent on what the government will or won't provide or pay for. So I am going to work as long as I'm breathing to make sure that I have things set and put in place so that my children can live what I consider to be a good quality of life. So I am going to be working for quite some time, and the good news is I'm a Scentsy lady, so it's not like it's hard work. It's actually fun. I love it. I still love it as much today as I did back then. In fact, probably more now, because I get to work differently. Now I'm supporting a team more than I am supporting my own business, and I love that because that fills me up. So you guys can kind of look at this, and I mean, I can share this document out if you want. It's important to note that we would not want to post something like this on social media, because while it motivates us, it's just not the way we really want to, for the most part, attract people, at least not in the masses. Having one-on-one conversations the way Diane did it with me, and hopefully how you guys see this as I'm communicating with you, is, I mean, it's real, but when you start talking hype and making promises and posting stuff out, it doesn't come across genuine, and it may not even be appropriate depending on why some people are wanting to join. So I would just discourage you from doing that. And we could talk about that a little bit later too. So I'm going to stop with the numbers, and now we're going to talk about, okay, so this sounds great. I want in. I want to do this. I hope most of you are saying that at this point, and that you see this can be real. It is real. We are not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm going to make that very clear. If people join Scentsy thinking the first month or 2 months they're going to be making $10,000 in commission, or even $2,000 in commission for that matter, the odds are slim to none that that's going to happen. We're the real deal. We're business owners, and we have a business model that if we follow it and if we do the work, these are the type of results that we're going to get. And so it's really important that I stress that too. But when we talk all about sponsoring, and I'll take this off in case it's distracting you guys. Okay. When we talk about sponsoring, now you guys see the why. I mean, the why you want to sponsor, because if you're wanting to increase your checks, there's going to be a need for that. But now it's how, and that's usually the hardest part for most people is, yes, okay, so how? You know, either you've tried and you don't feel like you've succeeded, or you've tried and maybe you haven't tried enough, or maybe you just need some new ideas or new ways or some new thoughts. So we're just going to kind of start, since a lot of you are newer consultants, we're going to start with some of the basics, not all of them. I'm not going to go in-depth basic, but we are going to start with some of the basics and work our way forward to what's now and ways you guys can work now to change things from where you've been and go forward. So first of all, it is really important that you guys are taking advantage of all the places and the people and the ways that you're out and about, and you're sharing the opportunity that you're a Scentsy consultant. Starters are, for example, it should be no problem for me to click on any of your guys' Facebooks, and I should be able to know that you're a Scentsy lady. Now, I'm not saying you have to blast it all over your timeline every single moment. That's not what I'm saying. But when it talks about where are you employed, you can say you're a Scentsy consultant. If you look at mine right now, I have like the $49 join opportunity under my bio. You know, somebody from high school connects with me and they're wanting to see, oh, where does Tracy live now? Does Tracy have kids? They want to look at some of my photos. They are going to discover within seconds that I am a Scentsy consultant. Now, this is just one example, but I'm wanting to have you guys see how this is important. When, you know, I have had many a times when I've gone to get my nails done, or whether I've gone to the UPS store and people see I'm wearing something with Scentsy, or I hand over my credit card and they see my name and they say, oh, do you have a black van? Yes, I have a black van. Oh, I see your van all the time, because they see Tracy DeMario and Scentsy on my vehicle. Now, are they all calling me for orders? No, they're not all calling me for orders, but they do remember that I am the Scentsy consultant for if and when they are ready. They're going to realize Tracy DeMario is that Scentsy person, because that's the person I want to order from. I see her all over town. I know she's serious about her business. So those are just some small ways that can be big things for your business. No one should ever have to wonder if you sell Scentsy. And I'm constantly surprised when I'm out and about and people say they signed up with such and such and they had no idea that their cousin sold it or their neighbor sold it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even understand how this happens, but it does. So you guys need to take a little bit of a reflection here and make sure you're making it known to the world that you sell Scentsy. Now, not only do you sell Scentsy, but that you're working to build a team. This comes up a lot when I'm out and about again and I'm having conversations with people about the business opportunity. There are times when they'll say something like, oh yeah, I thought about joining, and I'll say, oh, is there somebody that you were working with? And they might say, well, there's somebody at my work that sells it, but like I don't think they're building a team and they're not really serious about it. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not the case, but that's the impression they're leaving with this person. And anybody that's done direct sales before, or some of you that might just be brighter than maybe I would have been, knows it's a good idea to shop your sponsor and make sure that you're joining with someone who is serious about building a business and is going to be invested in helping you be successful in your business. So if you're not putting off that message and you're not sending that message and making it known that you're wanting to build a team, don't be surprised when people you know are joining with others and you see that down the road. So I want to make sure you guys are thinking about that too. Now, the other big thing that we have now that we didn't have in the early days is the flip. We always had the flip the party or flip your host, but now we have the earn your kit. So if you guys are on this call and you have not read the FAQ on how to earn your kit to become a consultant, you need to add that to your to-do list. This is a huge benefit to those of you that have just joined our company to have this already laid out and available to you. So I want to be sure that you guys do realize that you guys need to be knowledgeable, and every single person who hosts a $200+ party for you needs to be given the opportunity to claim that as their own and to start the business immediately. And if that means that you don't have any PRV that month, so be it. Because remember those numbers that I talked about? If you're thinking forward and where you want this business to grow forward, then you want team. You want to get that team wholesale volume commission, and you want those director generation bonus commissions, because your PRV will follow. Okay, there's always going to be people to buy Scentsy from you. But right now, your primary focus should be on sponsoring and building your team at any cost. Okay, So a lot of times people ask me about information packets or what to put in possibility packets or join packets. They're called all kinds of things. And I'm going to tell you that, yes, it's important that you have something to hand out, but that should not be something you're consumed with or worried about. And I also don't want you to over give, because you can send people off with so much that they feel overwhelmed and they're like, I don't even understand half of this. I'm just going to put this aside. And then the odds of them getting back to it are slim. So I do recommend keeping them very simple with the possibility packets. Mine typically just include a current catalog, a warmer of the month. I do have postcards that I created and printed off of Vistaprint that tell a little bit about me and why I would like for them to join my team. So that's just something very simple. I always include some form of a sample, sometimes a couple if I have some like the laundry liquid samples that they can buy in the store, a scent sample, and a business card. But I never hand out any of those packets unless I get their contact information. If I'm going to give them something, I'm going to get something, and that is going to be their contact information, because that is really the difference between you helping them through the process of getting from that fear or disbelief to joining your team. So always get the contact information. Now, the other thing, as we discussed a little bit before, is when we talk about selling yourself, there are some people who have done a lot of direct sales companies, and they're smart, and they are going to sponsor shop. You should not be afraid of that. It's totally okay. I remember when I was starting out, I was like, Diane, what if they ask me how long I've been selling Scentsy? I've only been selling Scentsy for 3 months. I mean, what am I going to say? They're not going to pick me. And she said, you know, and she gave me ideas with that. And it's something like, you know, I haven't been with Scentsy for a long time, but I've used the product. I absolutely love it, and I am eager to work a business. We have a fantastic organization here in the Kansas City Metro or globally, whatever it is, whoever you're talking to, wherever they live. You kind of need to tweak that. We have online support groups via our Facebook. We have training that you can do 24/7 online, so it doesn't matter where your location is, if you're going to be relocated. None of that's important as long as you know that I'm invested to helping you, whether that's from a hobby, part-time, or full-time. So you need to be able to sell yourself, and so that people do choose you. And it's okay if you're new. We all started with one. And I will warn you of this too, especially if you maybe have got a team of 1 or team of 2. When your commission comes, it's not real exciting. So just so you know, I was so excited when I got my first team member. And I remember when I got paid, and I think it was like $12 it added to my check. And I'm like, Diane, what's the deal here? $12, are you kidding? You know, because I don't know, I guess I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but it was not very much money. But that's because it was a team of 1. And then that team of 1 turns to 2, and then 10, and then 20. And then that number is going to obviously continue to magnify. So it is important for you to keep focused and know that we all started with our first recruits. We all started with a team of 10. You know, no one in this business that is finding success and that is getting paid well had it any different than you guys are going to do it. In fact, the kit you guys get now is far better than the kit that I got when I joined. So, and the training center and just everything in general is way better. So you have much better tools and resources at your fingertips to take advantage of. So make sure that you're selling yourself and that you're making it known how and why they should choose you as their sponsor. Another thing that comes up commonly too, again, especially if some of you have done direct sales before, is that with our model, we want you to grow wide. So what that means is the more people you sponsor directly under you and go wide, that is in the long term how you're going to benefit the most financially. So, you know, this came up, for example, I mean, I can just share this. Diane, she had done lots of other stuff, but none of it looked similar to this program here, our compensation plan. So, for example, when her sister joined under her, well, if Diane found a couple of leads, she would just say, well, you guys can just join under my sister. So what she was doing was growing deep. Now, yes, we get paid that way, but if you want to maximize our compensation plan, your goal should be to grow wide. So don't be giving any leads or team members or people you talk to anybody on your team. It does not work that way for Scentsy. You definitely want to go as deep as you can possibly go, but that's because it's their contacts, their leads, their team. Your team members are building team members from their own people. Your goal is to go wide, okay? Now, we talked a lot about money, and just because, like I said, that was the #1 reason why I actually joined. And so if any of you guys are like me, I wanted to share that in case that helps motivate you or encourage you to step your business up. But I can tell you now today, well, yes, I do like the fact that it pays our bills. I was just talking yesterday to one of my dear friends who was working the booth with me. We were celebrating our Facebook Friendship Day yesterday. And I would not have known her had it not been for Scentsy. And I consider her to be one of my closest, funnest friends. And that is where I really have to tell you guys that the additional bonuses that come from this business will be the blessings of the relationships that you develop as a result of being a part of this company. I have friends and family members all over the country that I consider to be some of my dearest and nearest friends. I hope a lot of you guys have really great, long, extended family, but I'm going to tell you, I don't. My family circle is like this. So it has been an enormous blessing to me to have these Scentsy people in my life. And I have to tell you, my oldest daughter, she suffered a spinal cord injury a little over 2 years ago. And as a result, we were thrown into a whole nother world of autism plus spinal cord injury. And for those of you guys that have ever had anybody in your family that has gone through something like that and have had to deal with Medicare, Medicaid, insurances, all that fun stuff, it doesn't matter how much you make, there's not enough to truly get the things that your child needs. It's mind-blowing. And privately, behind my back, a bunch of my Scentsy family was able to raise over $4,000 for a stander for my daughter that the doctor wanted, he ordered, but insurance would not pay for. And 90% of the people who contributed to this have never even met my daughter. I mean, it's just, it still gets kind of emotional for me because it was really a remarkable thing. And so you guys need to know this is real, this is genuine, and it is more than money. So, sorry, it kind of throws me off, but it's important you guys know that because I was so touched, that, again, to know how much I've been blessed as a result of this company. So with that being said, there's going to be things that are going to come up. You're going to have hard days. Every day is not going to be great. Workstation's going to crash. I will tell you there's going to be back orders. There's going to be products they promised and something happens. In fact, just recently Chuck posted, I don't even remember what the product was, but somebody was asking about something, and Chuck Thompson, Orville Thompson, our owner's brother, posted, you remember that? Did you guys see the crane story about the crane that collapsed on some containers in the port? Well, some of those containers are ours. So who knows when we're going to get, these things. So my point is there's going to be hard days as a Scentsy consultant and as a business owner. There's going to be hard days. But I assure you, if you stay the course and you stay with Scentsy, you will see the results. Now, some other things that I wanted to talk about, and I'll see if I can pull this up. Recently, a new thing has come into our world called, oh, I hope I did. Okay, good. Called Maven. Some of you may be using it. Peggy, can you see this? Can you shake your head? Do you see this document? Okay, thank you. I just typed it up here because I'm a visual person, and I thought about doing a PowerPoint, and I thought, well, no, we're going to just do it a little different tonight. So I love Maven. It is one of the new tools that for me, I'm a huge fan of, but whether you use Maven or not, this is just some ideas. The key is follow-up, which is a whole nother training, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of that, but I do want you guys to recognize how Maven can be amazing, not only with your customer service and help you with follow-up, but with sponsoring. So for example, this first template, when you have a Maven account, for those of you that don't, in the premium, you have to have the premium. That basic version, in my opinion, not worth having. So the premium version of Maven has the option for template messages, and it automatically has templates set up for you. But I go in every month, sometimes more than once a month, and I change mine. So this first little portion here that says, hi, first name, I wanted to make sure you received your product and products. That is what automatically is on every single one. And then I went in and changed it and added this. So up to where this Maven tasks, ignore that part. So I added this other verbiage, including the link to the Join tab of my workstation, so that every time I'm checking on someone to make sure they got their order, they're getting this email from me. So I am basically asking them if they want to join my team and letting them know how easy it is for $49 that they can join my team this month. Another thing that I do with customers that have purchased from me more than once, I send them a text message. Maven prompts me on my to-do list and says, hey, you need to check in with Donna. It's been a while since she's ordered from you, for example. Or maybe I'm just thanking her for her order. So in this case, you'll see I sent a text to Donna. Hi, Donna. First, thank you for your online Scentsy orders. Do you have any interest in joining, even if to support your own habit? You can get commission on your purchases, but also earn free and half-price items. I have my join link there. And then I say, if not, I'm happy to continue being your Scentsy lady. My 2 new team members in November both responded to this message and joined my team. It was so simple, so easy. I mean, there was more back and forth dialogue, like, well, what does that mean? Or, you know, how many parties do I have to have? Or just different conversation stuff. But they both joined my team within 48 hours of me sending them that text message. So if you haven't got the message about following up, it is crucial and key. Secondly, if you're not using Maven Premium version, I'm telling you, you're missing out unless you do have a foolproof follow-up system, and some of you might, and that's fine. If you truly feel like it's effective and it's foolproof, then so be it, and that's great. I'm not here to tell you you have to use Maven. I'm just here to tell you it has definitely been a game changer for me in my business. So I want to be sure that you guys see this. And I will, and if you guys need me to post this in the event later, I can do that too. Okay, so we'll go back. Okay. The power of asking. This is the other thing too. I have people say, oh my gosh, I just talked to 30 people over the weekend and not one of them have joined my team. It truly is a numbers game. Every time you ask someone and they say no, you're that much closer to a yes. Many of you have heard this story before, but I'm really not kidding. I just went over this again yesterday with someone. You know, some of you guys have been servers in restaurants, or hopefully, you know, you get to go out to eat every now and then. And most of them are going to ask you, would you like a dessert tonight? Would you like to see the dessert menu? I don't know about you guys, but I usually say no. And I've never seen my server stomp up and down, cry, throw a fit, not come back to me. They all do. They just go on about their day. It's just so, it's become just so, you know, the thing to do. But yet, for some reason, those of us here in Scentsy world, when we ask someone to host a party and they say not right now, or will you join my team? Oh, I don't think so. Oh my gosh, I'm not making any more calls. I'm not going to ask. Everybody says no. The reality is no. Eventually that next table, when she says, would you like to see a dessert menu? They're going to say yes. And that's going to increase her tip. Just like for us, when we add team members, it increases our commission if we help support them so that they are successful, then we're successful. So you cannot let the no's scare you, and you can't let the number of people that you talk to that haven't joined scare you either. You have to keep going, and that is how you're going to build your team. So one of the things that I want to challenge each of you, because I found this helps me significantly, before I go to every event, and prior, if I have a month I'm not doing an event, every month I have a minimum of 10, I call them possibility packets made up. And if I'm towards the 26th, the 27th of the month, and I have not gotten rid of 10 possibility packets, then that's my little jolt to say, okay, the month cannot end unless I have more conversations, because I should have gotten rid of these by now. And I should have at least 10 people's good contact information so that I can do my job to follow up with them. Okay? So when you tell me, oh, I ask people and they don't want to, how many people are you asking? How many possibility packets are you giving out? Are you getting contact information? Are you following up? Usually when I ask those hard questions to my team members when I'm doing mentoring calls or coaching calls, the answer is, well, I gave out 2. Well, I don't know when I did my last follow-up. Well, you know, so the answers are no. It's not happening. So remember, you guys are the ones that have to do this work in order to reap the ultimate benefits. So that's really important. The other thing I want to remind you guys is when you go through, and hopefully you all have a 100 list, and if you don't, make sure you check out the consultant guide and that you do your 100 list. That should be an ever-evolving list. It doesn't go away whether you've been in the business for 1 year or 10 years. I can assure you, I'm sure Rhonda's got her 100 list because I just know how Rhonda works. She works it like a business. So that list is going to be continual. And you're developing relationships with these people over the years. And it's going to get easier and easier for you to ask and to offer the business opportunity with them. You want to be sure that you're also looking and listening. Some of them, recently, I was so glad, well, not glad, but, with the government shutdown, we had some of our very own who were not getting paid. And thank goodness some of them had Sensi as an emergency backup plan that they could kick up into a next year and really get busy. Stephanie Breimer posted a fantastic example. I don't know if she actually shared it in the group, but she did share it I saw it on Facebook, but her daughter's birthday happened to be during that time, and her daughter really wanted a bike. And, when you're not getting paid, you probably don't have the money to go buy a bike for your daughter's birthday. And so she did this really fun thing on Facebook. She's way more talented than I am, but she created how many Sensi bars it was going to take for her to sell before she'd have enough money to purchase that bike. And then every time somebody bought a bar, she marked it off, so there was that visual ongoing. And sure enough, her customers came out, they rallied behind her, and she was able to purchase that bike for her daughter's birthday. Sensi was the perfect emergency backup plan that she was able to kick into a gear. And that was really, I think, a cool story. So, most of us know someone who could use some extra funds and or that emergency backup plan. So keep them in mind too. And I always tell you guys, most of you have heard this before too, but who would be your fabulous 5? The top 5 people, your dream team that you would absolutely love to be on your team. Whether it's your best friend, your sister, your cousin, your next door neighbor, I don't know. But whoever those 5 people are, they should be the 5 people that you should be asking and offering the opportunity to and looking to get on your team. I've actually had someone she joined Sensi. She didn't need the money. She was very successful financially. But she has chosen to donate her commissions to the School for the Deaf because that's something that's just close to her heart. And so she's done that for years. Another consultant in our downline, when she joined, she had a life goal that she wanted to donate to missions globally, nationally, and locally. And so she uses her commissions every month, not to pay her utility bill, but she uses it so that she can bless others through her giving campaigns. So there's so many different ways that people that you can offer Sensi and share Sensi that they can achieve whatever it is they're wanting to do with it. It may not be quit their day job. They may not want to retire their husbands. I have people tell me all the time, oh no, I don't want my husband home all the time. And that's okay. It's not for everyone. I'm just here to tell you that people that Sensi could also bless. And with that being said, the other thing that I want to just speak a little bit about before we stop with the training component and we'll go into the question component is, you really do there's a couple things I want to caution you about. One is negativity and another is drama. It is in the world. You can't escape it. It's going to exist whether you're in business or you're not. But you don't have to participate. So when you're on your social media accounts and you're going off about just different things that are negative, that are not pleasant, you never know when somebody might have been looking and watching your timeline for a while thinking they wanted to join Sensi, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, well, not with her because she does not have it together. She's always negative. She's always complaining. You got to be careful about what you're putting out there because people are watching and they're paying attention to you. And I can assure you that if they don't join with you, they're going to join with me or the Rhondas or the Peggys or the Jackies of the world or the Robins of the world when we ask them, because we're going to ask them. And there is a lot of consultants there's actually a little over, 100,000 consultants globally. I shared this at the World Tour. I don't know if many of you were able to attend Kansas City World Tour, but just to kind of put this in perspective, in the state of Missouri, there's over 4 million adults in the state of Missouri. 3 years ago, in 2017, there was just 3,200 consultants. And that was 2016. 2017, there was 2,900 consultants. And in 2018, there was 2,800 consultants. So there are less consultants now than there have been in many, many years in the state of Missouri. And with over 4 million adults that are able to purchase Sensi, that basically means there's a lot of people looking for Sensi consultants. And this is really true predominantly everywhere from the Midwest over. The East Coast actually has a far less, and of course Hawaii and Alaska, you know that's coming. But their numbers are way less. So there is so many possibilities and so many people out there just looking for a Sensi consultant, not only to purchase from, but also to train them, sponsor them, and help them achieve their goals. So why shouldn't that be you? So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to open up to Q&A. You guys will need to actually, let me stop the recording real quick.